of introducing to you our next presenter. So I would like to introduce to you Sarah Gough. Sarah Gough celebrates over 20 years of facilitation and speaking experience, spreading experiential education across the globe as Executive Director of Play for Peace, an organization that brings together youth, adults, and organizations from communities in conflict through cooperative play to create laughter, compassion, and peace. Sarah will be talking to us today about the ripple effect of collective action. I'm passing this over to you, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for that introduction. I'm really honored to be part of this conference and just appreciative of all the hard work that all of you have put in as volunteers to put this together. It's no small feat in the middle of a pandemic and what can seem sometimes like very difficult times thinking of the future. So this is really a wonderful opportunity for me to meet with all of you. With a nod, Nikki, if I'm sharing my screen, you're able to see it? Awesome, that's so great. First, I'd love to just take a second. I know you just came off of a break. I'd love to just do a deep breath in and let it out as we kind of come back to this space where all of you have been spending time listening to others, giving feedback, thinking how this reflects to your life, and really making this whole event come alive. So thank you very much for that breathing and just a little bit of self-compassion. If you've just joined or you're going to join or you've been all morning, you chose this today to spend your time on this. And I think that it's really important that we acknowledge the efforts that all of us are bringing to the table here today. And just my gratitude for all of you for sticking on here and coming back after the break and joining the session. So from there, I have another request, which is just to do a little wave to the camera. Even if you are not on camera, if your camera's off, you do a little wave. I will feel it from all of you. And what I've found is they say that even over Zoom, if you give a wave, it gives you a little bit of boost of endorphins. And so even if you didn't wave, I bet you smiled. And even if you didn't smile, I bet you looked closer at the screen and sort of re-engaged into what we're here for, which is really connecting with each other and dreaming about the future. So thank you for that. And then my third request, I've got a lot of requests of you today, is just to put in the chat what country you are in. I know many of us were born in one place and have moved all over. So just give me a little sense of if everyone can put in where you are. Philippines, USA, Panama. Wonderful. It is so lovely to Canada. Lovely to be with all of you. I'm very excited because these global, Zoom has done amazing things. This technology has offered us this amazing opportunity to have these gatherings and really connect together on our hopes and dreams. So before we go too much further, I'm also currently located in Vancouver, BC, Canada. And here we have a tradition of acknowledging the land. It's part of a reconciliation process that we hope to encourage here. So I would like to formally say that I acknowledge I am joining you today from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh, the Musqueam First Nations. I respect the land and honor this tradition of land acknowledgement that dates back centuries for Indigenous people. With this acknowledgement, I thank the Indigenous people who still live on and care for these lands. So just a big deep breath in for this acknowledgement. And out. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me in that. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited about this journey we have today. And it really is a journey. I am, you know, many of you, I'm sure, are speakers as well, and you sort of have these talks that you give. And I'll have bits and parts of a talk that I often give. But I really got excited about the topic of this conference, the shift from me to we. And I really wanted to relate the topic I'm passionate about, which is collective action, which is peace building, which is experiential education, that's sort of the field I am, to this topic of shifting from me to we and thinking about the future. What kind of future can we co-create together with collective action? So in that, I'm going a little bit out of my comfort zone. I'm bringing up ideas that really were inspired by thinking about this talk. And so I am moving from my sort of comfort zone into my, my learning zone. And I'd like to share a little bit about how that feels to me. If you're able, put your two hands up, just like this. They can just be flat palm, and then slap them together as if you were going to clap. So just however, slap them together. You'll probably notice, if you do it 3 times, the same thumb, I have my left thumb that always falls on top of my right hand. So whenever I clap, this is my comfort zone. This is where I'm comfortable doing it. Now, if I try intentionally to clap one more time, but have my right thumb go over the left, the opposite of what I'm comfortable with. It's a little bit awkward. It's a little bit uncomfortable. It's definitely not what I'm used to. And I encourage all of you in here, if you are comfortable with your topics, to take a stretch out and be just a little bit uncomfortable. Ask questions if you don't normally ask questions. Follow up with me if you don't always do that after these conferences, but you really wish that you did. So in this space of a little bit of vulnerability, I invite you on this journey to me as I begin to reflect on how my life's work with Play for Peace can connect to this idea of collective action and how it can potentially change our futures. I don't know if you've heard of the phrase, teach what you need to learn. It's a phrase that has meant a lot to me. I am actually more of a serious person. I am somewhat serious and very focused. And so I'm running an organization called Play for Peace, which is focused around play. So the interesting part of this is my lifelong journey is actually to teach play, but also learn it for myself and bring out the more playful, joyful part of myself, which is a little bit less comfortable for me to share on the public stage and with all of you. Brene Brown takes us a step further and she says, write what you need to read. And so with her book, I'm just going through for probably the 3rd time her book, Dare to Lead. She wrote that book because that's something she wanted to read. For me, I'm going to take it one step further today, and I'm going to say what you need to hear. So part of this talk today is also my reflections on the work that we've been doing as a Play for Peace community and how we can potentially impact the future. Because I want to have hope, and I want to have a clear direction of how to move forward, and I want to have impact with my work on a daily level. So that is what I'm doing here with you today. I'll be sharing with you some stories of how the impact of our work has created a ripple effect across the globe. I'll share a little bit with you about the Kolb reflective model, the foundations that we have in experiential learning, and some stories from my life and work as well. So in this, finalizing sort of the intro to here, I just read a book fairly recently, The Gift, 12 Lessons to Save Your Life by Edith Edgar. And one of the questions she posed, which just stayed with me, I mean, it stayed with me for days and I guess a month later, is she said, she asked the question, how do you spell time? How do you spell time? And her answer might surprise you. L-O-V. So her point in saying that time is spelled L-O-V is where we spend our time, is where we're giving our energy, where we're giving our love, where we're giving our passion. So I just want to say to you that I'm deeply appreciative that you're spending your time, your energy with me and with the Play for Peace community, because they are with me the whole step of the way. And here's a number. Here's a number which I'd love for us to take a moment and reflect on a little bit. This number, 2 billion, is the number of people who are currently affected by fragility, conflict, or living in regions that are fragile, in conflict, or high violence. This is where my community is focused most of their work, so that we can bring compassion and peace to these regions. And in my work, I spent most of my adult life in the Northern Triangle region, which is in Guatemala in Central America. I spent just over 19 years there. And I have to say that this number 2 billion, these are people who have names, they have families, they have dreams of how they want to grow up, their children to grow up, how they want their family members to be able to go to school, have a job that has purpose, and be able to be safe and happy in their homes. So I just want to hold this space right now for all of these people who, in addition to this sort of era that we're going through with a global pandemic, a global exhaustion, I would say as well. In all of this hopefulness, there are people who are holding many, many layers of struggles and challenges, and just really think of them and be with them as well. One of my co-writers for this talk even is a volunteer that we have in Afghanistan who is from a minority group, cannot leave the country, and is currently in hiding. And he has been in contact with us. He's part of our community, and we talk every morning to keep his hopes up. He's got a wife and 2 young children, and talking back and forth of what does collective action mean? What is the power of it? How can we continue to grow this so that we can all live in a more peaceful world? $1 billion. So this is another number which has more of a hopeful, peaceful, or hopeful tone to it. This is the number of that they calculate of volunteers globally. So about 1 million of us kind of identify as volunteers. We're doing volunteer work. Maybe it's through, local organizations, one-time events, parents at their school, their children's schools. Maybe they participate in acts like random acts of kindness. They help out their neighbors. And so there's about 1 billion of us who are already on this path of supporting each other, regardless of what we do for our primary income or our work. And but there's a lot of room to grow, because we saw just in the topic of peace building, we've got 2 billion people who are in a fragile state, with only 1 billion people trying to work in the world for betterment of climate emergency, food insecurity, all the things that desperately need our attention. So this number is big, but I'd like to say that this is where our potential is to grow. What's my proposal here for you today? My proposal is, again, in reflecting on the work that I do, my primary focus since getting my MSW has been on community development, the promotion of volunteerism around the globe, specifically youth leadership and experiential learning. In that, I come up with really a model or a concept of what I think is working in Play for Peace, why the work that we do is spreading across the globe. And in the reflection of this, I call it the 3C collective action. So the term collective action, I've seen used a lot. It's used in economy. So like when small farmers, put together like a collective and get collectively act as a larger group for economic reasons. That's one use of the word collective action. Another one is a lot in demonstrations or in changing of policies of laws. Groups come together around a collective action to protest or demonstrate or sort of fight for changes in society. But what I want to propose here, or the concept that I'm really sort of exploring here with you today, because this is rough, this is new, this is not a polished concept. So I'd love all of your participation in this in our Q&A at the end. I'm really impacted by collective action. In addition to, it's not either or, like those two types of collective action are also very important. But in addition to those types of collective actions, what if we as people also take actions that are embedded in lifelong learning, self-reflection, and that the goal is really to enhance the human condition, whatever field we're in. And so this is sort of the power of, I believe, the work that we've been doing in Play for Peace. And I want to propose to you that I'd love to give to you and the world to take and move forward. Because just like in the earlier days of, when people started working on racism and discrimination, they used the word tolerance a lot. So tolerance, like we need to teach tolerance, which is sort of a low bar, right? Teaching tolerance is sort of a low bar. It just means you're going to tolerate the person next to you, but there's no further connection. As we evolved in the field, then it came the concept of empathy. We're going to teach empathy. We're going to grow empathy so that we feel for the other person beyond just tolerate, we empathize with. As we are growing and learning, that has also expanded and evolved more into compassion. So, and I do believe compassion is sort of the highest level of this concept, that we believe that what we do, the acts that we have affect each other, affect the other person as much as ourselves. And so in this sort of movement towards what is our highest potential, just like tolerance to empathy to compassion, I also have this concept of some random acts of kindness, which are beautiful, and volunteer actions, which are like one time or two time, or just very set in stone, the type of support that you give. All of these, and also being part of groups of collective action that are dedicated to lifelong learning, reflection, and the improvement of the human condition. And so this is like the journey I'd like to take you on. I'll share with you the work that I've been doing in Play for Peace as sort of a case study of how I came up with the 3 C's. So the next thing I'll show you right off the bat, I'm not going to take you one by one through these throughout the talk. I'll show them to you right away, and then we'll sort of reflect on them as we go through Play for Peace and what we do. The 3 C's that have been the true north for our work are compassion, connection, community. Those 3 things embedded in a commitment to be a lifelong learner as opposed to a lifelong knower, a lifelong learner who is committed to self-reflection, listening, learning, evolving. If this is combined with actions, collective actions that are based in compassion for all, connection to others, and creation of community, this is where I can see there's exponential growth of the potential of improving our human condition. I do believe in random acts of kindness. I do believe in gratitude. I do believe in these smaller one-time acts. And I also want to propose that could we also dedicate our time and be part of these larger collective actions which are based on compassion, connection, and community. And it's embedded in everything we do. When I started out the talk, the breathing, the compassion started. I felt into the compassion, the connection, waving to each other, even if it's through Zoom, even without the screens on. Community, where are you all from? Where's acknowledging where we are and the place we're living. So this has been embedded in all that we do at Play for Peace. And this will sort of serve as maybe like a case study for thinking through this concept a little further. The Play for Peace itself, I've sort of alluded to a few different things. We do consider ourselves a global learning community. Our vision is to ignite learning initiatives in regions around the globe, networking as one unified community that contributes to a more peaceful world. So our focus is peace building. Our belief system is that anyone can be an architect, builder, or leader for peace. You don't have to have a degree, you don't have to have a certificate, that with self-reflection, with listening skills, with this basis of compassion, connection, community, you can, wherever you are, be an architect, builder, and leader for peace. And that with this skill set and with this framing, that every community actually does have the resources they need to create and sustain peace. And so this is some of the foundational beliefs that we base our work on. In addition to the power of youth. So I'll go into how Play for Peace works and the model of implementation and how we grow and spread. But we use both the power of youth leadership and the power of cooperative play. So everything that we do is, even in the most difficult areas in the world, even in areas where we have no toolkits. I mean, at best we can scrape up like a ball for playing or some other tools that we gather from nature to create these games and activities. Cooperative play has the power to bring people together from different nationalities, religions, backgrounds, and through playing together, we activate the heart, we activate the body, and we bypass a little bit of the mind until it's ready to connect human to human with each other, with people who we might have heard terrible, scary things about because they're from a different religion, because they're from a different background, because they were born in a different country. So using the power of play, we can break through these stereotypes, these fears, and really connect human to human. And the power of this is quite magical. So we do, all that we do is infused with joy. It's all that we teach is taught through cooperative play activities, which are both fun and educational, and they're taught by youth leaders in the community. The reason being that it really is, again, teach what you need to learn. So our youth leaders are in these areas where racism, discrimination, caste systems, great divides are felt, they are present, they are real. And the youth, as they teach concepts of cooperation, of communication, of compassion, of listening, of working together. They teach what they need to learn. And in this journey, it really becomes a part of them and a part of us collectively. So in my journey of Play for Peace, maybe I'll step back for a second and share a little bit. I got a degree of social work and thought I would move abroad for a few months and be a volunteer before I went back to the States and settled down and sort of started my real job, right? That was the plan. And that plan took me to Guatemala for a 9-month contract, volunteer contract with Play for Peace. And when I got there, the power of the work that I saw on the ground, the specific situation where we were is after 36 years of civil war, Guatemala was trying to create peace, trying to create reconciliation. People who had fled a lot to Mexico were repatriated back to Guatemala, and they were repatriated back into communities that didn't necessarily agree to house all these new people and were in somewhat of a scarcity situation anyways in terms of economic opportunities, access to water and land, all of these things. So of course, it was rife for conflict. And Play for Peace came in, taught the youth how to lead these cooperative games, brought the youth together from both the repatriated refugees and the Guatemalans who were there and at war with each other just a few years before, and led these games of joy, of playfulness, of cooperation, of collaboration. And the work that they were doing, I learned more in 1 week of experiencing those activities than I had sort of in my whole educational program, which was a good one, by the way, but experiencing it cannot replace reading about it or learning about it, right? So that was my experience into Play for Peace. 9 years turned into 19 years. I was a volunteer for about 10 years, and then made my living by working in different international aid projects around youth volunteerism, and so youth leadership, volunteerism across the country. And then they asked me about 10 years into it, 10 years ago, to take over Play for Peace and lead the community. And we were in an interesting position in terms of the life cycle of the organization. And when I came in, one of the things that was happening is there was this beautiful growth and all these people across the globe who were working with youth, doing these practice peace sessions, but weren't quite sure, is this Play for Peace? Is this a Play for Peace activity? Am I doing it right? And so what we did is we came together and we came to our 4 words of what was our true north. And so that there was no gatekeeper to what was Play for Peace and what wasn't Play for Peace. What we came together as a community as our core values of what made a Play for Peace activity or event was whether it was yes to these 4 things. Was it cooperative? Was it caring? Was it inclusive? And was it fun? So if those 4 things are yes, then the answer was yes. And with this clarity, with this clarification, our community was able to come together in confidence and take Play for Peace to the world, knowing that they were, as long as it fulfilled these 4 things, they were on the right path to doing Play for Peace. So I'm just seeing here. Oh yes, wonderful. I'm going to reshare my screen because I'm not sure that I optimized it for video. I do have a little video that I'd love to share with you, just because me talking about it is not the same as showing the actual activity. So it's very short, but I'm just going to reshare my screen real quick. This is where the rough edges show a little bit. Optimize. Here we go. So please join me in watching a little bit of Play for Peace.
Violence is one of the leading causes of death globally for people 15 to 44. With each tragedy, it is not just one life that is taken, but a family destroyed, a community changed forever. And violence begets violence until something breaks the cycle. We can break the cycle of violence. There is hope where laughter is heard and friendship is found, where kids play together and through these experiences learn how to smile, how to trust, how to dream. Play for Peace trains and supports local youth volunteers in over 20 countries, equipping them with tools to bring people together in their community. People from different nationalities, religions, and cultures find common ground together and play or volunteer together. Our secret sauce is cooperative play, a universal way for people to come together and learn, creating a gateway to moments where differences are celebrated, friendships are created, and we emphasize the things that connect us rather than divide us. Through Play for Peace, children, youth, adults, and organizations from some of the most challenging areas in the world come together and create powerful, meaningful interactions. These individuals transform into architects and leaders of peace who unify their communities. Partner with us as we turn conflict into compassion.
All right, let me get myself situated. So I need a little bit of support right now. Are all of you able to see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, wonderful. I've lost the view of myself, but you know what? I think that's probably a good thing. It's a little distracting sometimes to see yourself behind the screen.
You
So
can get that back if you turn off the optimize for video sharing.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, actually, I'm sort of enjoying this. So I'll keep with it right now until I feel that need to connect back with the videos. So that was it. That is our community. That is what we do. We are integrated into schools, community centers, refugee camps, local organizations, wherever there are local youth leaders. And we train the youth to lead what we call practice peace sessions with younger children in the community, and also lead cooperative community service projects that benefit the entire neighborhood. So I'd like to take just a second and share with you sort of the nitty gritty, because I know this is sometimes helpful for you, of how it actually works. We normally, when we go to a community, we go when we're invited in. That's how we ripple across the globe, is someone has experienced Play for Peace and goes back home or goes to a new place and proposes that Play for Peace come as well and start our work in this new community. And so often what we do is we start by playing. We come, we lead these practice peace sessions, which are based in joy and connection and peace building. And the youth and the mentors get an opportunity to experience the joy of play. From that, if the community so decides that they'd like training to be able to do this themselves and join the collective action, join the larger community, then we go ahead and we train a group of youth 5 or more youth at least in any community, they form what we call Play for Peace Club. And then once they have formed their Play for Peace Club, they will be connected up into the Play for Peace community across the globe. We're in 20 different countries, everywhere from, of course, Central America to the States, to Asia, country in Africa, in Europe, is currently where we are right now. And so these youth are leading these sessions. And then we're connecting up as a community to reflect, learn, and grow through global collective actions and ongoing learning and support with each other. So that's sort of the how it works, sort of the nuts and bolts. But I'd like to just take a second and connect this back to you of everything you've been hearing or learning about Play for Peace and about what we do. And I'd like you, if you feel comfortable, if you feel safe, to just close your eyes just for a moment and connect with a memory of play. It could be recent, it could be your children, your grandchildren, your friends. You just had a playful moment with them. It could be from your childhood. Just take a moment and bring yourself to that space where you could hear giggles, you could feel lightness, you could feel connection. What were the sounds you were hearing? Were there smells? Were there lights? Who were you with? What were the feelings that you had when you were connected with another person in this moment of play? Just in the chat, if you feel comfortable sharing a few words about either the game or the activity or the person that you thought of as you were reconnecting to sort of this memory of play. I would just sort of love to see where everyone was when we were sort of doing that exercise. Because the power of what we feel when we connect with others. I mean, the research around belonging is there. We know that belonging is a core part of what we need to feel as humans. And so the impact of the work that we've done, we've been able to, let me actually just even start here. We've been able to find that through this type of work, 85% of our youth leaders have been making more friends with other teens and youth from different backgrounds since joining Play for Peace. Remember, this is in areas where there is high fragility, high conflict, high violence. 85% are making more friends from different backgrounds since joining Play for Peace. 92 of the participants that we surveyed felt that they had become a more compassionate person since joining Play for Peace. Through, we teach what we need to learn, right? Through teaching compassion, through teaching cooperation, through teaching collaboration, people were starting to feel more compassionate themselves. And here's the next one I really want to share with you. 97% of the youth and adults felt that Play for Peace gave them more moments of joy and hope. So as I look to the chat and just some of the things that people shared with me. It looks like maybe a professor shared a play activity with their undergrads. It was fabulous. They learned a ton. Someone else, waiting for my turn in American skipping. So did a skipping game, jumping through a frame made of old nylon in a schoolyard. I imagine that these experiences that you had in play brought you some moments of joy and hope. And while it seems like such a small thing, isn't that exactly what we need? If we want to build a future for humanity to grow and thrive and learn and be compassionate towards one another, we need more moments of joy and hope. That's the energy that we need to keep going as leaders in this really hard work, right? So thank you so much. Oh, so I hope you were able to reconnect with the joy and hope that you felt in those moments, and it'll inspire you to bring a few more moments of play into your life as well. Our work is founded in experiential learning. There's a lot of variations of this, but the simple version is called the cold reflective model. And what we do is we have experiences. So at Play for Peace, we try to create experiences that are founded in compassion, connection, and community. And then we reflect on those experiences. What actually happened? Just an observation without judgment. What happened? We can talk about what happened at the beginning of this workshop when we were just starting to come on. So what happened? Just no judgment, objective. And then we can reflect on, we can go to the abstract of, from what happened, what did we learn? So what did we learn from this experience? What did we learn from taking a moment to connect back with the moments of joy and play that we had? Maybe we remembered someone that we want to reconnect with. Maybe we remembered or thought of, you know what, I've been really feeling sort of overwhelmed and tired. This just lifted me out of that for a few seconds. Maybe I need to do this a little bit more. So whatever sort of reflective observation that you had, this is part of the process of reflecting on the experience. From that, you go to the abstract conceptualization, which is, we had this experience. These are some of the things that we learned. Now, how am I going to apply this to my life? Maybe from this talk, you'll be inspired to include a play activity even more often with your undergrad students. Maybe you'll be inspired to make sure you visit that schoolyard at least once a week on your walk to work or on your walk to the market, so that you infuse yourself in those moments of joy and hope, so that you can keep doing the important work that you're doing. So that's part of the abstract conceptualization, and moving into the what will we do now. Your action plan of, I had this experience, this is what I learned, this is how I can apply it to my life, and this is my plan to apply it. So this is the model we teach our youth leaders. They use this on the ground to create experiences for younger kids and learn together as a community how they can move from conflict to compassion. You can see this is our model, sort of a reflection of the cold model. It's a little bit further down. It's a little bit simplified. We play and serve. So we not only do play sessions, practice peace sessions, but we also do community service. Then we do the group reflection. We apply the learning, and that learning goes into the next experience. So, and who's participating in this? We've got our Play for Peace global team. We've got partner organizations on the ground supporting the youth leaders. We've got the adult mentors and the youth that are leading the sessions. We've got the kids who are playing and filling the rooms, filling the fields with laughter. And the outcomes, as you've seen, are creating more compassionate citizens, building more friendships across divides, and building more thriving communities. So all of these things are what is part of what makes our work work. So let me I'm jumping a little bit here. I've been I want to share this, a little bit of the ripple effect to bring all this home about compassion, connection, community, and show how it can ripple across the globe. These two amazing people, Swati and Edgar, they have been part of Play for Peace since the beginning. They're also another crew that probably only signed up for a workshop and they ended up staying more than 20 years, just like myself. And they have brought Play for Peace to different corners of the world, Myanmar, refugee camps in Europe, Africa, all across India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. You know, I could do an entire session on the work that they've done, but I just wanted to take you through one workshop that they did. They were invited to a refugee camp in Greece. This is at the height of sort of the mass migration from Iraq, Iran, the whole region to Europe when people were on boats and coming to Athens, being put in refugee camps. This is a refugee camp where they train the youth in the refugee camp to lead these practice peace sessions. And from this, 10-day training, the ripple effect across the globe has been incredible. So many of these youth from this experience, for instance, right here, Sam, who, fled his home from attack, lost his sister, lost all his childhood friends to war. And in the refugee camp, as he was sort of rebuilding, he connected up with Play for Peace and was part of bringing joy and laughter, not only to kids in the refugee camp, but also he and the other youth facilitators were invited to lead practice peace sessions at a summer camp for children who were affected by Chernobyl. So they went and they used their skill sets to bring these moments of joy and hope to the children. Also, a group of youth from Palestine were also connected up. They also went and led practice peace sessions at the same summer camp year after year. So all of this happened because of this one workshop that Swati and Edgar led. The youth leaders went and they rippled on. Out of that workshop too, there was a connection to the group in Crete as well as Italy. So then a woman who was working specifically in supporting North African refugees in Italy brought Play for Peace back to Italy and has been doing Play for Peace sessions in migration, like sort of centers that support new immigrants and refugees in the country. From that one Play for Peace training, Play for Peace kept working on in the refugee camp in Athens, and 2 volunteers from Costa Rica were volunteering at the refugee camp as part of their summer in Europe. They experienced Play for Peace and they said, we're going to bring this back to Costa Rica. So they took Play for Peace, they brought it back to Costa Rica. They connected with a local organization in Costa Rica in the sort of immigrant or migrant district of Costa Rica that experiences some violence and crime. And they taught the youth facilitators there how to lead Play for Peace. And from that, there was some incredible experiences. There was an outbreak of violence between the community and the police. And they were able to really calm it down from doing Play for Peace sessions with the community and the police officers that were involved, and bring more moments of feelings of safety to the community after that. And from that same training in Athens, in the refugee camp in Greece, Ryan, who was part of that training, he got relocated and got residency in the Netherlands. He brought Play for Peace to the Netherlands. He decided that even though he's now a university student studying really hard to rebuild his life in a new country, he goes and he volunteers at the local refugee centers that are in the Netherlands. This photo in the corner is just from last month, I think, as activities were starting to open up again in the refugee camps, of training a whole new group of youth facilitators in that refugee camp. They've received awards from the Dutch government for their volunteer work and have really kept the spirit alive. So I just wanted to share with you the power of how collective action with clear intentions and a basis in lifelong learning and the 3 C's, compassion, connection, and community, can have so much effect. During COVID, we had communities really switch to community service when they couldn't leave practice peace sessions. We, in Senegal, our youth leaders there built a playground for kids to play that was safe for them to play in, instead of sort of the alley dirt back roads where cars and animals and things were. They created this little patio, raised funds and did that. We have a lot of Play for Peace youth that also went ahead and did food security programs for their communities that were really suffering under lockdown, and doing creative activities for the well-being of children and youth. So with that, I know we're coming to a close, and I just want to close with some questions that you can ask yourself. How are you being compassionate to yourself and others? How can you deepen your connections? And where can you create community? As I hope that I can inspire you to grow that 1 billion to 7. What if we don't have to be afraid of technology taking over jobs? What if we can shift our focus and not only just work to make money and to support our families, but also be part of these collective actions, the 3C collective actions, where we're working really for the betterment of humanity. Those of us in the mental health arena, in education and trauma recovery and peace building, we know in climate emergency, we know there's a lot of work to do. There's no shortage of work to do. So why can't we include being part of lifelong learning, compassion, connection, and community as part of what we do, and move that mark from 1 billion exponentially up to 7 billion, and have everyone be part of these types of initiatives. So thank you so much. I will, I know we only have a few minutes left. I will pause here. I will stop sharing and go to sort of the more video thing. There's a couple questions. There's a, so there's a great question about what are the mechanics of how you keep in contact with participants and track impact. Well, one answer of that is we don't track all the impact. Like the one ripple effect story that I have is really representative of probably 1,000 more, and I only know 10 of. I sort of only know a small portion of really the true ripple effect that's happening. But we do use technology. We've partnered with a social impact company mobile application called Kikori, and we're beginning to put all our activities and training and curriculum on this mobile app. And we're able to start collecting data of when people do an activity or hold an event or do a community service project, they're able to input their data there right on their phones. And so it's a constant process of outreach, support, and leveraging technology to try to support our participants, track our impact, and also understand with grace and ease that we're only capturing a small part of actually what's happening. So, great question. Is there any other questions that you have or comments?
I had a question, Sarah. If nobody else had any questions, about what the life cycle of a student who enters Play for Peace looks like, and up to what point do you help them, assist them, and try to facilitate the strengthening of the 3 C's, because I know many adults who might benefit.
Well, actually, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think in the all the information I didn't share, we are a global learning community, which you can join at any time and stay in for life. We have people who started out as child participants, then they couldn't wait until they were old enough to be youth facilitators. We usually start at about 15. So at 15, they start to be youth facilitators, facilitating the activities. Then many of our youth facilitators went on to be mentors for other youth and even trainers. So some of the trainers that bring Play for Peace across the world actually started out as child participants or youth facilitators and have sort of grown and evolved their role as they have grown and evolved as well. And so the answer is no one ages out. And we have participants and supporters from all ages. And sometimes our youth really do, they even go to retirement homes and other things and work with the elderly and bring that same sort of joy also to all ages as well. So we have a structure, but the focus is really compassion, connection, and community. So where that takes you is where Play for Peace goes.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Perhaps we have other questions or any other comments from people in the chat box. I myself really appreciated that guided visualization, because I remembered a much happier, much simpler time. And I hope that there's a way for us to sustain these feelings, you know, and continue to build communities and continue to connect with one another.
Well, with that, I'd love to share one last screen for the last minute, and we can sort of end with this, which is something that we do when we're doing visioning and dreaming with our youth facilitators. We ask the question, what if? So what if Play for Peace was in every community around the world? What if every child got the opportunity to experience compassion, connection, community as they were growing up, regardless of what else they were facing in their life? What if we were all sort of part of making this sort of collective action happen? So I hope this what if will inspire you, will stay with you today as you go into the other sessions. I really appreciate your time, your energy. I put our website there. We do have workshops coming up. We have several conferences coming up. So if you would like to connect with me or anyone in our organization, you can hop on our website and reach out, and we're a very, very small team. We will connect with you directly. And so yeah, I'd just like to say thank you so much for this opportunity to speak. Thank you, AFP for putting on this conference. Thank you to Paco, who's a Play for Peace member and dearly beloved by his students, and all the work that he's done in Play for Peace in addition to this conference. So thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And on behalf of the Association of Professional Futurists and the Futures Festival team, thank you again for sharing with us this wonderful story and sharing with us how these ripple effects can really change how we view and perceive the world. Thank you.